Hello, it's Pamela at Abundant Joy Gifts and Gathering Place. And yes, I have a pig hat on, courtesy of my pals on the rescue squad. Will wanted me to have those thingies that you can do with some of the social media with different pictures and whatnot, and I don't know how to do it. So this is what you get. This is the old person's version of funny stuff on social media. We're going to be reading A Giraffe and a Half. If you had a giraffe and he stretched another half, you would have a giraffe and a half. If you put on a hat and inside lived a rat, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat and a hat. If you dressed him in his suit and he looked rather cute, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit. If you glued a rose to the tip of his nose, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose. If a bubbly old bee stung him right on the knee, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee. If he put on a shoe and then stepped in some glue, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in his suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe. If you gave him a flute and he played tooty toot, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing toot on a flute. If he used a chair to comb his hair, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair. If he tripped on a snake who was eating some cake, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose with a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing toots on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake. If he found an old trunk and inside was a skunk, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing flute, toot on the flute, with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in his trunk. If he met a fat dragon who sat in a wagon, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in his suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in a trunk and a dragon in a wagon. If he jumped on a back and rode over a spike, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in his suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in a trunk and a dragon in a wagon and a spike in his back. If a blueberry whale got a hold of his tail, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat, looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose and a bee on his knee and some glue on his shoe, playing toot on a flute with a chair in his hair and a snake eating cake and a skunk in a trunk and a dragon in a wagon and a spike in his back and a whale on his tail. If he fell in a hole that was dug by a mole, you would have a giraffe and a half with a rat in his hat looking cute in a suit with a rose on his nose, a bee on his knee, and some glue in his shoe playing toot on a flute, and a snake eating cake and a skunk in a trunk, and a dragon in a wagon, and a spike in his bike, and a whale on his tail, and a hole with a mole. But if you brought him a pole to climb out of the hole, and the whale left his tail and went off for the mail, if he gave the spiked back to a scout on a hike and he left the fat dragon because his wagon was sagging, and he gave his old chair to a tired old bear, and he traded the flute to a bird for some fruit, and he told that old snake to take a jump in the lake, and a man who bought junk bought the trunk with the skunk, and he gave the rose to a girl that he chose, while the bee on his knee flew away with a flea. And he put the shoe with the glue on you, and that silly old rat ran away with that hat, and he put his suit in the laundry chute, and he shrank another half. You would have a giraffe. See y'all later.